Hi everyone.
Hi there, welcome
Hi everyone.
to
Can you hear us?
welcome to F1 Clash. It's time for another every 2 weeks live stream. We're
Yep.
here. I'm Josie, and above me is Ian.
Hello.
And we're gonna qualify for the current Grand Prix, and we're going to take your questions.
Yeah, and discuss some of the latest news and developments happening in the F1 Clash universe. So, where should we begin? I think a good place would be just to talk about our recent AMA. What do you reckon, Josie?
Yeah.
If anyone missed out on that.
We had a Discord AMA over at the F1 Clash Discord. So if you aren't there already, you should definitely join, and you can do that in game, by the way. And then we had the Discord AMA. I was there, Ian was there, and we also had Corey, the game director. And we got together and we answered a bunch of questions from the community. All of the answers are in a dedicated channel over there, so you can go and catch up if you missed it.
Yeah, we would recap them on the stream, but it would probably take up the whole of the 1 hour, wouldn't it, Josie?
Because we got a very long time to read. Yes,
yeah.
we did. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, she's off. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just opening a window to reduce the echo in here.
You open the window and I will open a free crate just before I start off with some qualifying. But yeah, if any of you guys have any questions, fire them over in the chat, and I'm sure Josie will do her very best to answer.
Yeah, so already we've got a couple of important ones coming in. Fabrizio Oliveira is asking where the top global and Hall of Fame are. Hall of Fame is coming in an imminent update, so you'll see that in the very near future indeed. As for the top global, that's a grayed out tab that we have had in the game since launch, and it's a bit of a running joke as to when top global will ever be released. And I believe that there is an intention that the club's release will involve the sort of top global and the leaderboardy stuff. So yeah, you should see an update on that kind of thing when clubs launches. But yeah, Hall of Fame coming pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, if you stick around until I've done this first race, I think we've got a little bit of a preview image that we can show for the Hall of Fame. So yeah, stick around. Once I've finished with this race, I'll get that up for you to take a look at.
Yep. And Toti Spurs is asking, we talked about increasing GP rewards on the 21st of June. Does that mean an update next week? So there will be some changes to GP rewards in the next couple of weeks, I believe.
That's another stay tuned, because again, we're going to talk about that in a little bit more depth, and weekly league rewards as well. So
yes.
Yeah. Let me just quickly do this race. Oh, that's a good qualifying performance.
Oh wow, we're really getting into it right away. We're already qualifying for the French Grand Prix.
Yeah. Why hang about?
We don't mess around here, do we?
We really don't. All right. Let's see how this
goes. Imran Sedat says hi from South Africa. Hello. And the Facebook chat has frozen again, as it always seems to do for me.
Oh dear.
Oh, there we go. Found it. Scott Osborne says hi from Sheffield. Jorge Lopez Abadia says hola from Mexico. There we go. Good. And Erelnildo Fernandez is sending us Brazilian flags.
Jeff has just sent me over a double G. So thanks for that, Jeff. I'll try not to let you down in this race.
We've got a question from that koala emoji on YouTube. Says, can you make all the cars go the same speed in the pits and remove the unsafe releases? Can you hear the trains going past my house?
I can. I just thought it was the game audio a little bit, but yeah.
Okay, cool. And the answer to those questions is we're in fact in the middle of an investigation into those things. So we don't have an update for you this instant, but we are working on changing and fixing those problems and exploits with pit stops. Atanas Yordanov says hi from Bulgaria. John Black says hi from Switzerland. And David Santos is Brazilian. Thanks, guys.
Don't know if you're watching my race, Josie, but Alonso is bossing it so far. He's in first. It's looking promising.
Wow, that is very good. Well done.
Yeah, early days.
Fabrizio Oliveira again is asking about Top Global and the Hall of Fame. Well, the Hall of Fame update is coming imminently, as I just said, and the Top Global feature is going to be snowballed in some shape or form into clubs. Presto Jeff is asking for an update on the bugs that we're looking at. So we are preparing a council committee from our F1 Player Council on all of the in-game exploits that players have been talking about to do with things like this pit lane stuff that was mentioned before. So cars having different speeds in the pits or being held for a long time in the pits, and how these can be sort of utilized or weaponized by players, because obviously that is an aspect of the game that is quite unfair. We don't want that to be a part of the game. So that's going to be on our radar. We're also still looking at the propensity for 0% tire AI to be hard to pass. That's another one that's on our radar. So
I think that's one of the. I think Corey touched on that in the recent AMA, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He did talk about that in the AMA, and in fact, Kubuk Just X has just asked that. So yeah, hopefully that helps you out too. Toto Spurs is asking about a car components rebalance, or do you want to wait a little bit about it? We are currently looking at a pit stop time rebalance because our latest matchmaking data has matured, and we are seeing, obviously that the pit stop times are heavily deterministic when it comes to players being able to win matches. So we're going to figure out a way to mitigate that in the near future. So stay tuned for that.
Sorry if anyone can hear some dogs howling in the background.
I thought that they were ducks or geese or something.
No, I have 3 chihuahuas.
Nice.
And maybe they sound like ducks, I don't know.
Maximilian Nguyen is asking about features that are coming up. So yeah, the Hall of Fame feature that we just talked about, we've got a graphic to show you after this race, so you'll get to see more info on that in a minute. That was something that was originally intended to be balled into the previous major release, but there just wasn't time, so it's coming in a minor release very, very imminently. Other than that, the club's feature is still on the way, and we also have a couple of other surprises in the works. Can't say too much about them just yet. John Black asks about a medium set of tyres. So we've maintained for the longest time that what we really like about the F1 Clash gameplay at the moment is that it is very simple. So there are 2 choices of dry tyres specifically to improve the simplicity of the game. We do know that Real F1 has 3 compounds, but we feel as though for the strategic complexity that we want for the game at this point, 2 tyres is a better choice. What level is that Alonso, Ian?
I think he's level 6, something like that.
Wow. That's quite impressive.
Yeah, I may have spent some bucks. and CC points.
Let's see, where are we? Yeah, Facebook chat's frozen again. So if you've been asking questions on Facebook, I'm sorry, I'll have to refresh and look that. John Black is asking about making hard tyres last longer and including medium tyres. Yep, we're aware that that is an option. We've decided that for the sake of strategic simplicity, we'd rather not do it. There was a question from Tiemen Hiddink asking why Verstappen is so low on qualifying. So let me just break out. I've got a reference sheet here for drivers. What's going on with Max Verstappen? Yeah, okay. So the reason that Max Verstappen qualifies not super well is because of his consistency stat. So all of the driver's stats, of course, work in some way or shape or form to qualifying. The wet weather stat only comes in if it's raining, but the others are used all the time. And particularly the consistency stat provides a randomized penalty that adds a little bit of time to the base time of the qualifying. Verstappen's consistency is 88 at max level out of 120. And there are several drivers with better consistency than that, like Ricciardo, Bottas, Perez, and Alonso. just to name a few, all have better consistency than that. And that means that they'll have a smaller relative penalty to their qualifying time than Verstappen. Of course, he can make up for that with his top-notch overtaking stat and his overall stats. So there's still a use case for him if you want to take the challenge. Simone the Game asks, why don't we add daily events to earn epic cards only, like 5 races only, top 3 get awards? So daily events, some kind of either daily event system or daily task system has been asked for a long time. That is something that we are looking into. So even though I don't have anything specific for you at the moment, that is something that we're looking at.
Just to enter it quickly, Josie, I just finished the first race. So would you say we have a look at that Hall of Fame little teaser for what's coming up?
Yes,
next week.
Do it, and I'll refresh. I'll refresh my Facebook while you do that.
Okay, good time as well, because I think I need to reboot the game quickly. So let's bring that image up and get rid of the the chat box. See it clearly. Boom. So yeah, that is the Hall of Fame feature. A couple of screenshots, probably a bit small maybe for you to see, but yeah, it's basically just a collection album, just so you can see all the previous assets from seasons gone by that you've collected. At the minute, you'll be able to see your assets and drivers from the 2019 and 2020 season, but as we go through the seasons, we'll be adding to that, obviously. So yeah, that is the Hall of Fame feature, which is coming out, I believe, next week. So yeah, that should be pretty
that's
cool.
right. So that will give you an opportunity to take a look at, especially your 2019 assets if you've got them, because at the moment there's no real way to take a look at them. That will bring that back, so you can show off your collection for years to come.
Yeah, I would imagine, maybe your 2019 and 2020 assets and drivers are still quite fresh in the mind, but as we get through more and more seasons, yeah, I can definitely see how it would be cool to look back on what you picked up in previous seasons. Okay. Next up, should we have a look at talk quickly about the weekly league rewards, Josie?
Yes. Why don't you start us off?
Yeah, I tell you what, I'll start us off with a nice image. How about that? Boom. How about that? So yeah, starting from, I think it's next week, as part of our phased increase for rewards, we're going to be increasing the series level of crates that you get for the weekly leagues. So basically, all gold, platinum, and legendary crates that you get from the weekly league rewards will be increased by 2 series. I think we're also increasing them as well for the standard crates you get, but maybe not to the same degree in every case. But yeah, for the big prizes, you're going to see a nice little bump in the series that you get. So that's pretty cool. That's
the good stuff.
Yeah.
And we also have a plan for GP rewards, because there's a question at the moment from Twitch, from NetTracer0Q, saying, like Craig Yates said, will GP prizes be evaluated? Currently, it's not worth racing 25 games for a crate in coins that aren't interesting unless you end up in the top 3. Yes, the GP rewards will be changing too. Not at the same time, but in the near future.
Yeah, not too long to wait for that one. So, should I crack on with another race? Maybe I should open a crate. I've got a legendary here that's just begging to be opened. And I've got a few spare bucks, so why not?
Someone's mentioning that they can hear your Slack notifications, by the way.
Me? Okay, let me shut that
so
down.
you might just need to quit Slack for the time.
Yeah, I just have. So hopefully that's the end of that. Sorry guys.
Go on then, show us what you got.
That's the good stuff.
Nice.
Picking up some epics.
Oh, real nice.
Always good. Right, race 2. Let's have it.
Oh, yeehaw. That's a good haul. Well done. Okay. Back to the races?
Yep.
Super.
Someone just asked about being able to change your name in the game. That's something that we're working on, isn't it, Josie?
Yes, it is. Yeah, that will be on the way. I can't remember if it's grouped in with the club's feature. But
I think it's coming slightly before. I think it's in the next, not the Hall of Fame update, but maybe the update after that or the one after. So yeah, that's coming soon.
Okay, cool, nice. Right, time to get back to the questions. There are so many. Thank you so much for your questions, everybody. I'm getting to them as quickly as I can. Presto Jeff is asking if we are accepting applications to the Player Council.
Yes.
I think... Oh, we are? Cool.
I think so. Yeah. Now seems a pretty good time because we've kind of like changed the format of the Player Council in recent days. So now would probably be a good time to open that up. So yeah, I'll create something on Discord for people to be able to submit applications in the very near future. So keep an eye out for that.
Yeah. Matthias Defra is talking about the exploits that I was talking about before, like the different in-game bugs, says, and the wet tire on a dry track problem. Yep, sorry, I just forgot about that one. That's also being looked into. Shane4729 asks, do you get the banner around your profile if you do the competition races? Actually, the frames, as they're called, you get those from season score. So during every season update, you can get yourself a nice banner, well, a frame, as you call it, a banner. Kilium EXE asks, why does the weather graphic show a sun instead of a moon during night races? Very, very good question. I guess we just use the sun as a shorthand for clear weather, which yeah, you're right, is not a perfect analogy when it's dark, but yeah, that's where that comes from. Scotty HRL is asking if we have any plans for modes other than duels. So we've also got the Grand Prix events, of course, and Team Series events inside of Grand Prix. Other than that, I can't really talk about any other plans, I'm afraid. So sorry about that. Toto Spurs is asking which of the new tracks. We said one is almost playable. What's the news about it? I actually don't know. I don't even know which one it is that's almost playable. So I'm terribly sorry. Yeah, you'll have to either wait for the next day in May to ask Corey, or maybe I guess I could ask Corey if I find time in a minute.
Yeah, do it.
K1LL Pop 555666 is asking what level drivers and parts need to be so you don't qualify in the back. So you can essentially, if you do a lot of upgrades, they're obviously going to be more effective against the AI teams in lower series. But as Kilium EXE mentions, if you can get 16th or better with Latifi and Schumacher at Series 7, or maybe they're talking about level 7, pretty easily. So yeah, you can do it. It can be done. So yeah, just keep going. Kubuk Just X is saying that they don't know who asked for what, doesn't add any value to the current state of the game. I don't know which feature you're talking about, but if you're talking about the Hall of Fame, it was actually something that was quite heavily suggested. So that's why we decided to go for it.
I think we'd also done some work for it for the season change, hadn't we, Josie?
Yes, yeah, we wanted to make sure that with the season update, now that the 2019 assets are no longer usable, that you still have a way to take a look at them and share them with your friends. Borox asks if there is a crib sheet that lists the stats for each driver / part at each level. There is an internal sheet that we have for sharing around for quick reference. There's also a player version.
Yes, I think on our Discord, a member called TR the Flash has put together something with all the stats at various levels. So if you do a search for his name on the Discord, it should.
Yeah. Kilium EXE in fact says it's in the community content channel.
There you go.
Toto Spurs again asking about name change. That's probably the one that you saw earlier, and I'm still catching up. Yep, it's on the way in a future update. Not the one that's coming in the next few days, but another one sometime a little bit after that. Parasite 3 asks any details to share concerning clubs since last week. No, nothing has changed in 1 week. We are still working on the feature, obviously. But yeah, no news right now. Shane4729 is asking about legendary cards, old drivers like Schumacher, Senna, and Rosberg. At the moment, we don't have a plan for a legendary drivers feature. As much as we would love to get one in, it requires a lot of legal work because you have to do individual agreements with every driver's estates, and it is not easy to do. So yeah, we obviously have a lot of appetite for it, not only from the community but also on the team. But at the moment, we're just not in a position to do that.
Is that another train, Josie?
Yes. Cubic JUSX is asking, during the Team Series events, will the shop update or will it have the same drivers for the whole 5 days? So as far as I'm aware, I think as it should be, the drivers for the 2 feature teams will be in the store, but then the other items should change around every day, so you can still get something else. Matthias Defra says we keep qualifying at the back of the grid. Yeah, we're aware that in comparison to last year, qualifying is a little bit harder. Of course, it is the same for both players. So from that perspective, it's still as close a race as ever before. But yeah, the AI are a little bit faster this year.
Just coming to the conclusion of a very close race here, Josie. I think there's about a point or so in it.
Sapic05 is asking if we can make extra points carry over to the next race crate. That is something that we're looking at, but adding bucks to the race crates at this exact moment is not something that we're not planning on doing, because when the clubs feature comes in, there will be a new way to get bucks for free. So that's the plan with that. We've taken it out of race crates to put it somewhere else in the clubs feature. So stay tuned for that. Parasite 3 is asking, they'd like to hear our thoughts about late pit orders. Is it known and acceptable? Is it frowned upon, considered skillful, or considered an exploit, etc.? So you can order your drivers to pit relatively late. We are aware that sometimes drivers don't heed the pit order from you. But when it comes to pitting late, it's something that's fine as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
Zaydada asks why we can't race at Vietnam anymore, and yes, it is a legal issue. Hanoi is no longer on the F1 calendar, so the track is not available in F1 Clash. The same thing happened to Hockenheim a year ago. You'll remember that Hockenheim was in the game in 2019, and it is now out of the game because it's not on the calendar. Sorry.
So I was just going to say, just going back to that point about cancelling the game cancelling pit stops, it could be due to the packet loss stuff and the connection issues that we mentioned previously, Josie. But yeah, we're aware that some of you have told us about the game disconnecting during races for you, during Grand Prix especially, and you ending up with 3 points. We're working on a solution right now, and we've actually started rolling out some fixes to kind of like mitigate packet loss. That started happening with the AlphaTauri team event, where we kind of tested things, and we definitely saw some quite big improvements actually on the number of disconnects that players were getting, and we hope to fully roll that out for the currently running GP. So yeah, please continue to let us know if you're suffering from disconnection issues in the game, but hopefully you'll start seeing some pretty substantial improvements for that.
Yeah, that's right. Kunyan18 asks, is there any possibility I can drive against my friend in a future update? I'm not entirely sure on the exact details, but I think something along those lines is planned for the club's feature. Sapic05 asks, what about adding the Nürburgring? So the Nürburgring did make an appearance in the 2020 season of F1. Is it in 2021 as well? I can't remember.
Nürburgring? I'm not sure off the top of my head.
I feel like it's not. Eiffel Grand Prix, that's what it was called.
Have a quick check.
I'm just looking. I don't remember seeing it. I feel like it's not happening.
No, I can't see it.
Yeah, so obviously, if it's not in this year's calendar, then we shouldn't be making use of that track. It's not part of the F1 World Championship. We know that it made a very last-minute appearance in 2020. But by the time that we would have built the Nürburgring, it would have been off the calendar already, and we would have never been able to use it. So I'm afraid, yeah, no Nürburgring for you. Lots of people saying where they're from. Oh my word. Thank you so much for all the questions. I'm trying as hard as I can to get through them all. Avrumi Reichman asks, why do cars phase through each other's in corners? That completely disregards the defensive drivers. Yep, so sometimes the drivers do make a little bit of weird contact. For the most part, we try very hard to make sure that the drivers never touch each other, so they will actively avoid one another if they're close on track. Sometimes they do touch though, yeah. That's just simply, if the track is crowded, it can happen. Taking Corners is asking about race crate points carrying over. Yep, that's something that we're looking at. Gosh, there's a few more race crate things. Where are we? PMP Gaming is asking, are there any ideas to change the Grand Prix Events format? We are experimenting with a couple of ideas at the moment in our skunk works.
Yes, we are.
But we can't really say anything about it at the moment, and nothing's confirmed. So I would hope that we can deliver something to you, but I obviously can't talk about it. Maximilian Norin is asking how we calculate qualifying time. Is it the sum of overtaking, defending fuel and tyres, while consistency and wetness only affect the quali scores? That's roughly what happens, yeah. So, yeah, all of those stats come together to form a score, which then informs the time that it would take on the track, and the consistency and the wet weather effects, depending on whether it's dry or wet, will affect slightly the time with essentially a random penalty that's devised by how high or low that stat is. So a worse consistency has the possibility to have a higher penalty rolled for that time, and that will make them slower. Nigel Burns says they had a question in the AMA which wasn't answered. What influences how drivers get away from the grid apart from speed choice? Does grip play a part? Some races the rival streaks away. Yeah, so it's entirely based on the stats of the car. So the grip is important. Absolutely, you're right there. But it's only a small effect. So if you're seeing the rival streaking away, I can only imagine that it's just that the drivers got a slightly better start. Okay. Mark Lewis asks, can a speedometer be added to the game so when I'm testing builds, I can see how my car performs? Oh, okay, I see what you mean. So we don't have any plans for something like that at the moment, but I can kind of see why you would want one. At the very least, of course, you've got the debrief screen, which will allow you to see a couple of details. But yeah, at the moment, we don't have any plans for anything like that. Koala Emoji says we have to lower the pit time on most parts, then more parts will be usable and the game will be more fun and variating. It was good last season with parts and pit time, but too high now on most parts. Yep, we've seen that feedback. So we are looking at a pit time rebalance for all the parts. Again, I can't say when that will be along, but hopefully soon, so stay tuned. Will there be new skins for your car in F1 Clash? We are planning to add some more car liveries, yes. Nitik Jane asks when the GP rewards will be increased. That's going to happen over the next few weeks, so stay tuned for that.
Yes, but the weekly league rewards will be increased from next week.
That's right. Maximilian Norin is asking about the helmet textures on drivers when they choose some drivers, like their helmet will appear fully white like Kimi and Perez. That sounds like a bug. You should definitely raise that with us, send it to CS, because yeah, I'm not sure that we know about that yet. Yeah, so please do that. Nitik Jane asks when we'll get cash in the race crate again. So we're not going to add bucks back to race crates because there is a plan to put bucks that you can get for free in the clubs feature, which is on its way.
Just opening up another crate quickly. Nice race crate. Ooh, finally got me a Vettel.
K1LL Pop 555666 says, in the team events, you should make it so that you can only use the team drivers for that event. It will be a level playing field and there's more strategy involved. That was actually one of the concepts that we discussed when creating the team series events, but we decided that it would be, in order to incentivize players to use those drivers, of course, we've got the stats increase, the 10% stats increase. So that's a pretty good incentive, and then you can pick them up in lots of different ways, either through the regular Grand Prix event offers or the in-game store, which has them available. And we've also got that heavily discounted crates that you can buy for bucks. So there's quite a few different ways that you can pick up the drivers and make good use of them. And that's if you don't have them already, of course. Toto Spurs is asking about a GP events rework. Opening round is useless and frustrating in my opinion, and sandbagging is an issue. So we have actually had a little look at that in the past to see how many players are doing strange things with the sandbagging. It's definitely something that we have looked into. It's not at the top of our list to make any changes at the moment.
Just put a little call out in the Twitch chat for some strat tips for this upcoming race in Shanghai, Josie.
Yeah, go for it.
So yeah, let me know if you've got any tips or advice. I'm all ears.
Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. I've lost my place on it. All 3 streams now. YT the King Gaming Canal says, can we add Hanoi? No, we can't. We built the Hanoi circuit for 2020, but now that Hanoi is not on the F1 calendar, we've had to remove the track from the game, so you won't see it anymore, I'm afraid. That's just the reality of trying to be as authentic as possible with regard to the F1 World Championship happening. So yeah, no Hanoi anymore, I'm afraid. Bob Smith asks how many people can join a club. There is going to be some kind of cap, but I'm not aware what the number is off the top of my head, I'm afraid. I think it's a relatively high number. Imran Sedat asks why they can't overtake an AI driver with 0 tyres. That issue is being looked into, so hopefully we'll see a fix for that in the near future. Mark Lewis thanks us for asking that question. Josie, maybe more data about the car's performance can be given for it to feel more real and enable the player to fine-tune the cars better. So all of the information that you need is already on the cards, on the assets. There isn't really much else at all to show off there. The other things that you sort of don't see on the assets themselves and in the game are sort of the really, really fine-tuning things that you get to hear about in these Q&A sessions, like how the consistency penalty affects you and all that stuff. You know, that's quite in-depth. You can have a decent grasp of F1 Clash's strategy without it, just using what we give you. Nightic Jane asks about the Saudi track. Yep, that is on the 2021 calendar. So there is the intention, and you would hope, based on previous tracks being added, that we are working on the Jeddah track. Obviously, I don't know exactly when it's going to be arriving. Hopefully in time for the track's debut on the F1 stage. That would be ideal. But yeah, it takes us a very long time to build a track, at least 9 months. So yeah, hopefully we can get it done in time. Graham McGillivray asks, last season our legacy team was as good as my 2019 team. This season the legacy team is terrible versus last year's. I understand the lower winnings, that's good, but why make it worse? So one thing that you might be talking about there is that because of the way that we've changed the max stats for all the drivers and components, it used to be from about 0 to 100, and it's now up to 120. And the legacy team does not have the same increase, so their cap is still 100. That means that on average they're going to perform worse than normal because their cap is lower. So they're going to behave worse against the 2021 AI drivers than they would do if you were using 2021 assets yourself. We do actually have a plan. We're going to try and bring the 2020 AI back for legacy races so that everybody's on a level playing field again. Matt Norris says, is better to increase drivers or car parts? I can't seem to win on a regular basis. So I've heard theories across the last few years that one is the best or the other is the best. Honestly, just look at what you've got, what resources you have available, and try to get upgrades one way or another. And that should help you out. And if you're struggling in a series, then I would suggest going down a series and trying to get some wins there. Shada Garcia is asking why we're obligating to use Mazepin. So Mazepin is, of course, one of the drivers that you get at the start of the game alongside Yuki Tsunoda. And obviously, those drivers are both newcomers. They're not, well proven in F1 yet, and that's part of the reason why they're used as the starter drivers. It's the same reason that we had Latifi as a starter driver when he was new, etc. So that's simply one of the reasons that we pick the starter drivers like that, and you can pick up all of the drivers you want by playing and unlocking them. So good luck. Blayo has left a question that is either in Spanish or Portuguese, and I can't read it. I'm really sorry. Craig Yates asks, how come the team event wasn't a completely different format to the fortnightly GPs? So the team series events do have a couple of differences, of course, with the regard that the featured drivers have a 10% stat boost. But in terms of the format of the Grand Prix event itself, we wanted to keep things relatively familiar. And with the timelines of the season change, we also didn't have a whole lot of time to deploy a fresh format. Of course, we would like to put some more time into another round of different things. We would like to add new game modes. We don't have any timelines for things like that, but obviously we're working all the time on innovations that will improve F1 Clash. Graham McGilvery asks, can we add the versus players win record on the last 5 race results? That sounds like something that players would like to see, to figure out like if the game that they were in was fair or not. But honestly, the way that the matchmaking works, I think that that's quite superfluous information. I don't think that anybody needs it. I certainly don't. Craig Yates is asking if GP prizes will be reevaluated. Yeah, they will be increased in the next few weeks. That was part of our timeline, that we wanted players to be able to enter the GP events early. So while players are just starting out, the prizes have been less, but now the players have been playing in this season for about a month, we're going to increase them. So you'll see higher prizes very soon. Cleo Mel says, hi from Greece. Hello. Any plan for official liveries and cars? No, that's not a thing we can offer you, I'm afraid. We're not in a position to let you pose as one of the real F1 teams at the moment. But you'll have to, you'll just have to enjoy the colourful concoctions that we've made for you in the time being. Scott Osborne asks, any chance of a top 25/50 banner from the final round? If you finish 11th or 100th, you just get an F banner. Would be good for players that can't make the top 10. Okay, so you're talking about medals, I guess. That's not a bad little idea. I don't know if we've got any plans for medals changes at the moment. So, we've got matchmaking things and events and feature things that people are asking for first. So, I don't think we have a timeline on that. Arthur Livgren says, hi from Sweden. What won against Slovakia in football, and Marcus Ericsson won in IndyCar last week. Go Sweden. Hey. I was wondering about the dead fast boosts. Oh, it's not even related. Are they coming back as a reward, and if so, when? Thanks. I don't know if the dead fast boost specifically is coming back as a reward, but we will make sure that there's a way for you to get those in the future. They're not retired or anything. Jake Tung wants to see your loadout after the race.
Okay, so let's have a look at it now.
Roberto Matias says, this game needs a new refresh. It's 3 seasons doing the same and the same and the same. Yeah, we're working on new features. Obviously, it takes a significant amount of effort for us to refresh the season every year, with all of the new drivers, components, and other changes that we make around the same time. We have got new things on the way. So clubs is coming, for instance. We've been working on that for a long time. I know that it's taken a while. Thank you so much for your patience. We were hoping to be done with clubs by now as well. Really looking forward to it being put out to the rest of you. And then after that, we'll be working on something else too. Henko Victor asks what the fastest way to get better is. Honestly, a bit of trial and improvement is definitely needed. You'll be able to find your strategy over time by repeating races. And if you're struggling in a particular series, then you should go down to a lower series to get a little bit of a better chance of doing well against the AI, etc. Any chance of a point for fastest lap, asks Peter Phillips. It's something we'd like to do. It sounds like a small change, but at the moment we haven't got it on our radar as something to do immediately. We'd like to do it though. KJ Alday asks, I just got a level 9 Schumacher, but he does not drive better than a level 8. Why? Did the stats improve at all? Because if they didn't improve, then that's a bug and you should submit that to our customer support team. But otherwise, there are changes. Sometimes especially this season, the upgrades are, I've got to close my window, it's really, really hard. This season, the upgrades are pretty significant, so you should see at least a little change. Do let us know. Where am I? Where am I? Oh, we've got a lot of people talking in the YouTube chat. Okay, where am I? Hanoi. So many questions. Will there be more parts for the car, asks Bob Smith. At the moment, 42-ish, maybe a bit more car components are all that we have planned. We don't see a need to add any more at the moment. Obviously, there are far more of them than there are drivers in the game, just by virtue of the fact that there are only 20 drivers. Is it 8 times 6? Now I'm doubting myself. What's 8 times 6? 48, so close. No new ones on the way. We just, of course, changed them over for the 2021 season. Then we've got lots of people in the YouTube chat with the same response, the same message. We saw this at the previous stream. We gamers want real news in the game. 2 years without news. I mean, obviously, when you say news, we need to understand exactly what you mean by news. The developer can't produce anything new. It's shameful what they're doing with the F1 franchise. Oh, guys, I'm really sorry that you're feeling put out by F1 Clash. Obviously, every year we bring out the new season, so we've done that every year, and that takes a lot of time. And in between that, of course, we are coming out with new features. Clubs is on the way. We are working on it. Thank you so much for your patience with Clubs. I think it's going to be a lot of fun when that comes out finally to you.
I think Clubs, Josie, isn't that our next big major update? We do have some smaller, more incremental updates before that, but yeah, Clubs is the next big one, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's on its way. You will see it, and we're looking forward to showing it to you.
Yeah, and it's also worth mentioning that, Josie, for Clubs, what we launch with is not how it's always going to be. It's going to be a constantly evolving feature. We're going to be adding stuff to it, building upon it, and just generally making it really cool.
Chris Arnold asks, are you fixing the fuel auto going up when they're low on fuel, making me run out of fuel? I don't know what that is. Please give us a bit more detail. We'd love to hear about that. Maximilian Nguyen asks, could you guys make Mazepin more likely to crash out than the other drivers? Boy, oh boy, that's poor guy. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, he has the lowest consistency stat in the game. So, I mean, technically speaking, he has the highest chance of crashing than the other drivers, but that's simply by the virtue of him being a starter driver. So, yeah, sorry about that. Let's see, I'm trying to scroll through these repeated messages. It's not as if we haven't read them, guys. We do know what you're asking about. Imran Sadat asks, are our stats for end of the season already been calculated? All right, so this is in relation to the fact that the activity stats for the 2021 season score, or 2020 season score, I guess, technically. Yeah, it didn't start counting until some ways back. The answer to whether they're being calculated for things like activity, I actually don't know the answer to, I'm afraid. But obviously, we'll make sure that when the next season score comes around, that we calibrate it based on when we started counting. Hopefully we shan't make that mistake again. Hadif Chipui asks, is there any tips or whatsoever to get platinum and legendary crate by winning a race? Nope, so those are given out basically at random, so there's no way to make it so that you get a platinum or legendary. You'll just have to keep an eye out for when you get one, and yeah, good luck, I'm afraid. Fabricio Oliveira says, this game is the only manager of the F1 franchise. You have a duty to take care of the game and the community. Listen more. The game is losing many players because of bad admonition. Admonition? That's a great word. A firm warning or reprimand. Okay, so I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about, but obviously, you know, the reason that we do these regular sort of sessions and feedbacks and have these live streams and have the player council is because we want to listen. So
Yes.
When we get overwhelming feedback, of course, we do try to react as quickly as possible, but things take time. So we obviously thank you so much for your patience. Quinton asks, can we have the inbox back? Yeah, I think there's a technical reason why the inbox has disappeared.
Yeah, we're switching to a new provider, basically.
Yeah, the provider that we were using, I can't get too much into it, but they weren't able to continue giving us that service. So the inbox will come back soon.
We're basically building our own system, aren't we? So, yeah, expect
yes.
a new and improved inbox in the coming weeks.
Fabricio continues saying the Brazilian community is here by weight, and it seems that you never listen to us players and never bring improvements to the game. So that, of course, is an opinion. I'm not going to say that, you know, that I think your opinion isn't the right one, because anyone's opinion is exactly that. It's an opinion. But from this side, you know, I have multiple meetings per day where we talk about the most important things that we can fix in F1 Clash right now, and the things that we can roll into updates in order to make the game better. You know, we turn up to work every day to make that happen for you. So we're trying our best.
I mean, for example, one of the main complaints recently has been about the whole disconnection issues and, you know, that kind of thing. And we're, currently rolling out some improvements to that, which hopefully everyone will benefit from. So, yeah, we do listen, but unfortunately, things do take time.
Absolutely, they do. Chris Arnold asks, in the GPs when my driver cuts down because of low fuel, it sometimes auto goes up, meaning I run out of fuel. So I've never observed that particular phenomenon. If you would be so kind, next time it happens to you, if you can either send like screenshots or some kind of recording and give that to our CS, because we would really like to understand that. So yeah, please submit that to our customer support group and we would love to look at it. Gaming with King asks, can we get a spectator feature when the club's feature comes out, so we can watch a club member's race? So I can tell you, just based on my layperson's, wow, it's really raining, my layperson's knowledge of how our server setup works is that having more than 2 people connecting to a socket would be hard. It's not been built with that possibility in mind, so it would be quite some work to add it. I know that is not planned for the club's feature, but if a lot of people are into that idea, then you should club together and send us some info, and we can think about it. Nightique Jane says chat should have an option of using own words. So there's a very good reason why the in-race chat system doesn't let you just type a message, and that's simply because it would require a lot of work with profanity filters, and people would do all kinds of things to skip over those profanity filters. We do have some filtration tech coming with the clubs feature, But at the moment, the in-race chat is very specifically for the messages that we provide you, which do a pretty decent job of outlining the narrative of a race. So yeah, that's how it is at the moment. PMP Gaming asks, why is there no table showing the amount of races we have run with a win-lose record? Player stats is something that we know you guys want. I think that there's some kind of tech coming up for that. I don't know if it's in the club's feature or separate.
I think it's part of one of our incremental updates before clubs launches some increased stats. I'll double check.
There you go.
I think so.
Yeah, I hope so too, because yeah, it does feel like something that's quite sorely missing from the game at the moment. Oops. Dantas Game Tech Now says developers deserve dislikes, so they get dislikes because of them, and then an emoji that I can't see. Yep, so we see on the YouTube that you can put your dislikes in. Of course, that is your feedback. Thank you very much for your feedback. That koala emoji asks, does consistency stat matter in races as well, and if so, how? I thought you just said that Mazepin has a higher risk of crashing because of his low consistency stat. Yes, I did say that. So consistency does matter in the races. What it does is it determines how precise and dependable a driver can hit the racing line. So if a driver has a lower consistency stat, then they're slightly more likely to make mistakes and they're a little bit more likely to go off the track. Those effects are relatively subtle, so it's not like a massive game breaker. Obviously, all of the stats matter basically equally. So yeah, it does have an effect though. So technically he is the most likely to crash, but it's not like a 80% chance or anything, because that would just be really unfair. Chris Arnold asks, I put in pit orders and they get cancelled. Yeah, we're aware of this issue. It's something that we're looking at. I think it went through one of our bug triages possibly last week. I realise that we've got about 5 minutes left before we have to go to our meeting, but
yes.
yeah, I'm trying to get through all the questions as fast as I can. I'm so sorry.
May have to cut this duel short, but I'll see what I can do.
Fabrizio Oliveira says the proof of the community revolt is simply in the numbers. The transmission at this moment on all the platforms you're doing, only 100 people are viewing simultaneously. Well, I mean, that's pretty great. Like 100 people are directly in this discussion. You know, of course you have to want to join the discussion. We're here for it, and I'm glad you're here for it.
Yeah. I mean, bearing in mind we don't have the inbox feature in the game at the minute, but previously for our live streams we'd normally put a message out on there, which really helps to bump our numbers, obviously.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Because we entirely understand people don't constantly refresh social media every 5 minutes.
Yeah. Okay, I'm trying to refresh the Facebook again. Janko Jonkman says, why don't cars quali on wet tires when it's wet in the game? It says it used the wet tires, but at times shows the dry tires. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think that we know about it, of course, from the player feedback that we've received over the last few weeks, at least. I think that it's being looked at again. I'm not entirely sure on that exact one. Graham McGilvery asked, what about Imola? At the moment, Imola is on the F1 calendar on a temporary basis, so it's currently not due to be renewed next year. By the time that we would build Imola for 2021, it would be off the calendar again. So at the moment, there's no intention of building Imola. That can, of course, change, but right now, Imola's not on the way. Cleo Mel is asking about official liveries on cars. I think that we already talked about that, perhaps, but yeah, we can't offer that because we can't have it that you can pose as a real official F1 team, I'm afraid. So yeah, you'll have to make your own livery. Henko Victor says, I have a Lewis, but it's qualifier between 20 and 24 all the time. Yeah, let me know what level your Hamilton is, because yeah, that does make a big difference to his stats.
The key.
And also what series you're racing in, obviously. But yeah, when you upgrade Lewis, of course, he does get better. Niall McDowell says, let the chat carry over or add free chat. I don't know what that means, I'm afraid.
You want about text chat in races, maybe?
Oh, well, but it's free, isn't it? You don't have to pay for that.
Maybe free chat as in, like, you can type what you want. Maybe.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay, yeah, we talked about
I can see the potential issues with that.
Yeah. Adi Namo says, I would like the option for the slower pilot to let the teammate overtake without defending. Yep, this is something that players have been asking for a lot. At the moment, the system is not particularly flexible for that, but yeah, we're looking into it.
Yes, it's one of the questions addressed in our AMA.
Yeah, KJ Alday says fast pit time is the only way. Any other setup is a loss. Yeah, the pit times are going to be rebalanced in the near future in order to mitigate the fact that at the moment they're quite dominant in the balance. That's on its way. KJ Alday says, how has he got 2 platinum crates just lying in wait? He probably stores them up.
Yeah, I saved them up.
Yeah, he knows that we're doing the live stream every 2 weeks, so he keeps his best crates back for the stream. He's nice like that. Jaketon asks if we're lowering the opening times for plat and legendary crates. As far as I know, there's no change plan for that. No. Where am I? Allow race bonus to be used when you want it in a race. What's a race bonus? If you only have one, you may want to use on a last lap, not on the first. Also allow the race bonuses to be split between drivers when you have a sufficient amount. Oh, if you're talking about boosts. Okay, yeah, I see what you mean. If you're talking about boosts, you want to be able to equip them halfway through a race. I think that was actually part of the original brief, but we didn't include it for a reason that I can't remember because it was 3 years ago. It's a cool idea. At the moment, we don't have any intentions of changing how boosts work, though. So, yeah, sorry about that, but thanks for your feedback. It's quite a cool idea. Okay, that's a reply to someone else. Sebastian Beland says, updates are too slow in this games. The past showed us that we might get the club at the end of the season. Yeah, updates do take a long time. We understand that, of course. Our team is always working towards it. It's a small team. It's a very big game, and we're really glad that you love it so much that you're clamoring for new updates. We're working on it. New stuff is on the way. We would love to get clubs to you soon.
Yes, definitely sooner than the end of the season.
That would be nice, yeah. Scott Wum asks, noticed a change when you pit and pick wet by mistake. You can change at the last minute to whatever tyre you want. Beforehand, once you picked a tyre change, that was it, and it would cost you the race. I don't remember if we did that, if we did anything about that, but I mean, if that's what's working for you, then I guess maybe it was always that way. I have no idea. Sorry about that. KJ Alday says the legacy teams are useless then. Yeah, at the moment, they are weaker than the AI around you, but because legacy teams can only match with other legacy teams, the match between the 2 players is still fair, so you can still enjoy your legacy assets. But yeah, as I said, we are thinking about putting the 2020 AI back in for legacy races in order to redress that problem. Another person asking, 2 more people asking about team swaps. Yeah, sorry, I already mentioned that. Yeah, thanks so much for your feedback. Richard Charles Stanford asks, why is it so hard to win? I don't even have enough money to qualify for the race event, and I'm not a new player. I have a very good 2020 team. Oh gosh, Ian, I just noticed the time.
Yes, and I've just finished off this duel.
Okay, amazing. So, Richard, one thing that I can suggest is, the 2020 team, you can still make use of it. Obviously, the legacy races still work, even if you have only 3 of them per day. But in terms of the new season, everybody is in the same boat. So if you are careful and you only go up the series once you have sufficient coins to make it further up without losing too much, then you can go ahead and get some progress in. Just keep trying to work up and see if you can invest in some upgrades eventually.
Okay. Shall we wrap things up for this time, Josie?
Yeah. I know that there are so many questions that I've not been able to get to. You guys are always amazing with the number of questions.
We really appreciate it. We really do.
Thank you.
It'll be a very quiet live stream without your questions.
Yeah. You guys are all amazing. I'm afraid that we have run out of time. We're expected in another call right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in.
Yes.
And you can always catch us on the Discord, where there's an eternal discussion going on about F1 Clash. And of course, you're in the right place to pick up on our streams. Every couple of weeks, we try to host one of these. So we'll see you again soon. Thank you so much for your questions. and we'll
Take
see you
care,
next
everyone.
time.
Have a great weekend. Bye bye.